Great. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Collective Conference. And this breakout session is called Get Your Life. We're going to talk about being productive. We're going to talk about your daily schedules. We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff, how we can make the most of our time and our money and our resources and get our lives together. Things can seem so crazy sometimes. I'm a huge guru. I love reading books about personal development. I love listening to podcasts and following people who can help me be a better version of myself and help me keep my stuff together. So I want to introduce myself to you. My name is Pastor Jessica Lewis, and I'm a wife, I'm a mom. My husband and I pastor a community church in Orange, Texas. We're close to Louisiana, down in Southeast Texas, and we love it. I absolutely love it. I love championing the local church. I love ministry. I've been doing ministry since I was a young kid. I grew up as a pastor's daughter, and I'm now a pastor's wife, and I'm on staff at the church as our creative director and our connections pastor, and I love it. I love ministry. It's what I wake up every day to do. I love family, and I love my church family, and I'm very honored to speak to you and get to talk with you here on the Collective Conference. And I love, I'm like you. I love the ocean. Maybe you don't love the ocean, but I love the ocean. I love hanging out with my family. I love traveling. I love chocolate. I love massages. That's a little bit about me, and I'm just real like you are. I'm authentic, and I'm very excited to be able to share with you tonight some of the things that the Lord has imparted to me, some things that I have found that work for me and my schedule, some things, people ask me all the time, how do you do it? I have 3 kids. I have my oldest son is 12 years old. My daughter is 10 years old. And then we have a brand new baby, Ezekiel. He's 7 months old. And so we have 3 kids and both work full-time in full-time ministry, have families that are far away, and everyone, the question I get a lot is, how do you do it? How do you do it? And I'm happy to answer some of those questions, give you some tips and tricks, things that I found that work for me. And like I said, we'll do a Q&A at the end, so you can, if you're here live, you're able to ask questions. If you're watching the replay, you can always shoot me an email. My email address is proverbs31qt@gmail.com. You can find that. If you're taking notes, you can write down my website. It's proverbs31qt.com. So it's Proverbs 31, the letter Q and the letter T.com, and you can find links to my email address there. You can submit a prayer request. You can find out some different things. There's a link to my blog, which I need to get my life together so that I can have more time to blog. That's one thing that I'm working on is carving out time for those types of things. But tonight I'm going to give you some practical things. I'm going to give you some things that, there's a lot of spiritual stuff that can come behind it, but because we have just an hour, I'm going to give you the good stuff. I'm going to give you the practical stuff, the how-tos, the things that I like to hear people talk about. I believe that ministry should always, especially women's ministry, should always be a balance of spiritual revelation and practical application. I believe those things have to go together. You can tell people things all day long, but if you don't tell them how to do it and how to get there and make it practical for them, then it's sometimes hard to apply. So I encourage you to take notes. Grab a pen, paper, grab your iPad or your phone, jot down some things. If I say something that resonates with you, write it down so you can remember it, because we think we can remember a lot more than we actually can, and then later we find out all the things we forgot, right? And many times we're not productive. We're unproductive or unsuccessful in just scheduling and life and getting everything done because of the pressure that we put on ourselves. And I'm guilty of this. I am the first one. I am guilty of this. The pressure that we put on ourselves is immense. Many times it's more than any pressure that anyone else can or will put on us. We feel like for whatever reason, whether it's something we were raised to do or raised not to do, or something that a family member or a person at church or work has put on us, we carry a lot of pressure. And sometimes we are trying so hard to go about doing things the wrong way because of what someone might think about us, and then we don't manage our life, we don't manage our calendar according to what's important to us. We manage it according to what's important to other people. So it's really important, if we're going to be productive, that we manage our calendar and manage our life and manage our marriage and our family and parenting according to the principles that are important to us, according to what we want life to look like. So that's easier said than done, always. It's just always easier said than done. Sometimes we don't realize we're doing these things until we kind of pull back and we zoom out on the camera and we take a really good snapshot and a really authentic look at how things are going and take a measurement and say, hey, look, this is not going the way I want it to. Why is it not going the way I want it to go? And sometimes the root of that is that we're trying to do things to please other people that don't work for our family, or we have an expectation on ourselves to be that mom in our kids' classroom, or that family member that always does blank, or the person at work that you can count on to always be the blank. And we put those labels on ourselves, and sometimes we have to just strip those off and just get down to what God wants us to be and what is best for us and for our family. So much of this session will be very practical stuff. I could sit here and preach to you, which is something I love to do also, but tonight's really going to be, and I'm saying tonight, but if you're watching the replay, then it may be 3 a.m., who knows. But it's going to be some practical things. I'm going to share with you some things that work for me. And I want you to understand that some things I say, you might take those and run with it and do it forever for the rest of your life until you go to heaven, okay? And some things you might try and you might say, they worked for Jessica, but they did not work for me. This doesn't work for me, and this is why. And you have a different circumstance than I do. So know that what I'm telling you is not biblical truth, but it's practical application, things that I have found, and I've tried a lot of different things. And it's very important for us to understand when we're implementing things and we're being managers of our time and our resources and our finances, and we're being a good steward of those things. Just because you start to do something, if you start to do and you implement a new solution for your family and it doesn't work, it's your responsibility to take the temperature of that and say, hey, we've been doing this for 3 months and it hasn't worked, so we're going to stop doing this and we're going to try something else. It's our responsibility. Just because you try one version of a printed out chore chart doesn't mean you have to do that forever. If it's not working for you and your family, then you have the power to switch it up and find something that does work. So if you have your pens and you're ready to take notes, I'm going to start with giving you some practical things that work for me and my family. I hope some of them you will take away, and this is after trial and error. Many of the things are not things that I have always done, but they're things I've done as a result of other things not working. So I'm going to give you some practical things, and then we're going to talk about at the end 5 keys to being the most productive you and to really getting things together, and they're going to be really good. So here we go. First of all, I want to talk about calendaring and scheduling. That is a huge thing for me. We are very, and people say, and this is the first thing that you can write down, is that you need to stop saying that you are busy. All right, you need to stop saying that you are busy. And if you're just joining, I see a few of you, make sure that you mute your microphones so that there's no echo coming through. Make sure you mute your microphones. So stop saying that you're busy. All right, people tell me all the time, oh, you're busy, you're so busy. And I correct them very nicely, depending on who it is, and say, you know what, we are really productive. And on purpose, we keep a really productive calendar on purpose. And I say, oh, and I use that word in place of busy because anybody can be busy. Busyness does not mean that you're being productive. Activity does not equal productivity. So it's important for you to make sure that you're being productive and not staying busy. All right, so that's the first thing you can write down. Make sure you're replacing the word busy with the word productive. And make sure that you're saying your best yes. I talk to ladies about this all the time. It's a source of stress. They commit to things that they don't necessarily need to commit to because they feel obligated to be that mom or that grandmother or that aunt. And they start to commit to things because of what people think about them instead of what they think about themselves. So make sure that when you're saying yes to things that you're pausing. Never say yes right away when there's a commitment involved and it takes time away from your family and from your spouse. Make sure that you say, you know what, I appreciate you so much thinking of me to ask me to do that. But let me talk it over with my spouse and look at my calendar, and I'll get back with you and let you know. That gives you time. You're not on the spot to say yes. You need to say that to everything, big, little, anything like that. You need to make sure that you have a pause there before you say yes. And many times you can say yes, and it's something that you do and it fits right into your schedule, but many times you'll say no. You'll realize, you know what, if I do that, then I'm not going to be able to do that, these other things, and I had the same amount of hours in the day as everyone else has. So thank you for thinking of me, and please think of me and ask me for next time, but for this time it's just not going to fit onto my calendar. That's it. Nobody's feelings are hurt, and you just saved yourself a headache or saved yourself from having to call them later and tell them, you know what, never mind, I overcommitted. So it's a good practice to have, to make sure you're saying your best yes. If you're saying yes, make sure it's what's best for you. Next, this is very simple, but it is something that women do not do. We all know we should do it, but you need to be reminded. I need to be reminded. Write it down. When I was younger, I was able to remember things really, really, really well. And now that I'm older, I can't. And I feel like I can, but I can't. So it is important, if you are young, if you are 18 or you are 99, write things down. Put it in your calendar. If you're planning to give your husband a foot massage, put it in your calendar. If you have an intention in your mind to show up somewhere, to do something, to invest your time and your resources and your money somewhere, you need to write it down. And then you can go back and look at all the commitments that you successfully fulfilled, and it feels good. But it's important to write it down. The worst feeling is the next day saying, oh my gosh, I was supposed to do yesterday. I told them I would bring and you forget. And it's okay. You're not meant to have to remember everything. That's why we write it down. So make it plain on paper. Habakkuk 2:2. All right, look at your schedule daily. This is a big thing, especially if you are retired or you are a stay-at-home mom. Most people who work full-time have a calendar they're looking at daily because they have meetings and they have, things like that, and they're on that type of schedule. But if you have any type of schedule, you need to make sure you're looking at your calendar every day, that you are in the morning when you're having your coffee, having your quiet time, whatever you do in the mornings, that you are looking at your day, looking at your commitments, looking at the things you need to accomplish for the day, the meetings that you might have, the appointments you might have, because we feel like we can remember, but it's really important, and it's a good snapshot for you to physically see it with your eyes, and also to have it in your mind. So make sure that you're looking at everything daily. Something that I do is I keep a paper calendar, and I also keep an electronic calendar. So I keep my Google Calendar, and then I keep my paper calendar as well, my big calendar. So everything is there. What I do is, because my paper calendar I don't carry with me everywhere, and it doesn't fit in my purse, so I don't carry it with me everywhere, but I have my electronic calendar on my phone everywhere that I go. So if I'm somewhere and I need to make an appointment, then I can do it on my phone. If I'm somewhere and I need to make a commitment, or I need to put a reminder in or something like that, I do it on my phone. And then every Sunday night, I sit down with my paper calendar and my phone calendar, my electronic calendar, and I sync the two together. So I make sure that anything that I put in my phone is on my paper calendar, and vice versa. This works for me. It's a good time. My husband and I usually meet on Sunday nights anyway to look at our calendars together to see, hey, can you get the kids? Hey, the kids are going here. Hey, ball practice, and both of our older kids are very active in sports, and we sync our calendars together, and we make sure that we know everything that's going on for that week. It's a good thing to do. It eliminates a lot of stress throughout the week. It eliminates last minute texts. Hey, can you grab the kids? I totally forgot that I have to do this. And then they're not texting you back, and they're not texting you back because they're busy doing something else and you didn't realize. So it is a really good idea for you to do that. On Google Calendars, you can add your spouse to your calendar so they can see your whole calendar. You can see their whole calendar. I know a lot of people use there's a million applications, like you'll go crazy. But if you look for apps that are family calendars, there's the Cozy Calendar. There's several things that you can look at to see what would work for your family. But I encourage you to sync your calendars every week. That is one thing that works for me. I like having the paper calendar because I like to see it all in front of me all at once. I'm the same way when I read my Bible. I like a paper Bible. I have my YouVersion app, but I like the paper. I like making notes with a pen. So if that sounds like it would work for you, I definitely encourage you to do that. But make sure that at the beginning of your week that you're sitting down and looking at everything. And if you're married, meet with your spouse and go over your calendar, even if you feel like your calendar doesn't conflict, so they know where you're at, what you're doing. It's also good because they can ask you, hey, how did this go? How was it when you met with so-and-so? How did this go? It's good for you to know. It's good communication practice for you to know where each other is spending your time and your resources and your money throughout the week. All right, something else practical that I do, we're going to skip from calendaring and scheduling, and if you have questions about that, you can save those for the end when we do our Q&A. Something easy that I do, and this is something that I put upon myself, I named myself, I crowned myself the perfect royal gift giver. Okay, if I was going to give a gift, it was going to be a big, beautiful bag with 2 packs of tissue paper, and it was going to be this grand thing, and everyone was going to know. And when I left the party, they were all going to know that I brought the most beautiful gift. Okay, this is the pressure I put on myself. Okay, so now this is how I do gift giving. I encourage you. I have a gift closet. All right, I have a certain little spot in my house where I have gift bags, and I have one for wedding and one for a baby, and that's gender neutral, and I have one for a boy and one for a girl, just in a little assortment of gift bags and tissue paper. And it's just a little thing where you pull drawers out, some shelves in a cabinet, and I have gifts. I have a few little gifts, so I will never be without a gift. All right, so I have cards, I have birthday cards and anniversary cards and things like that. And I have a little stash so that I can always grab something if I need it. And it comes in very, very, very handy for me. And it's something that I don't have to worry about. Normally my kids want to pick up their friends' gifts for a birthday party, and that's fine. But if it's last minute, or you forget, or you get invited last minute, it's great to have. The other thing that I use is when I'm sending stuff out is I have a USPS .com account. So it's a postal service account, and you can go there. It's free to sign up. You can print off postage. You can get there. They'll give you at the post office. They'll give you free priority boxes, and anything that you can put in there, as long as it fits in the box, you can ship it for a certain price. You can go online. You can print out the shipping label, put it on, and you can schedule for the postman to pick it up at your house. So you don't have to get stamps. You don't have to go to the post office. None of that. So if I'm sending something, we have lots of family all over the country and internationally. So if I'm sending something, that's my go-to. I print it right on my printer at home, use some shipping tape, put it on the box, and it's good to go. So that saves me a lot of time. It saves me a lot of effort as well. And I use Amazon to ship. I have an Amazon Prime account, and I love it. I use it all the time. I use it to ship things to people who are far away. I have my 2-day shipping. And I can send little gifts, little things. You can put in a gift note, mark this is a gift, and they won't get the invoice to know how much you paid. I use Amazon all the time for cousins and aunts and uncles and all kinds of stuff. So, and then I also use e-gift cards. So Target is one that I use. Walmart does them. Starbucks does them. You can go onto their website and search in their website e-gift cards, and you can buy gift cards and send them to someone, text or email. And that is easy. If it's same day and you're like, oh my goodness, it's Uncle Larry's birthday and we forgot. So Uncle Larry's getting a Walmart gift card or a Starbucks gift card, and they get it right to their inbox or right to their phone, and it's super simple, and it's really quick. So, all right, I'm going to try to move quickly through the rest of these so that I don't run over our time, so we have time for questions and answers at the end. All right, so something I do with doctor's appointments and hair appointments, reschedule them while you are there. While you're standing in front of the lady at the computer, reschedule your appointments, okay? Because you know, and I know, when you leave, you are not going to call back to reschedule. So you're going to be like, oh, it's been 4 months and I need to get my hair done. Oh, I need to call. And we get busy. Reschedule your appointment. And then if you have to change it, you can, but at least it's scheduled. It helps to keep you on track. Do that with your doctor's appointments, with your mammograms, with your kids' checkups, anything that you need to schedule. Do it while you're there. Pop it in your phone on your electronic calendar. Set a reminder so that you stay on track. Something I do with grocery shopping and meal planning. This is recent because I just had a baby 7 months ago. So the way that I do, and I've always planned out the meal throughout the week, but I've started to do grocery pickup, which many grocery stores all across America offer grocery pickup. You can have it delivered in some places. You can go and pick it up in some places. And I thought I would absolutely hate it. Long story short, I don't. I love it. I like to pick out my own groceries, my own fruit, my own chicken, my own, I like to see it. It was a serious oppression upon me. Why do I think I need to pick out my own apples? I can order them online, and they pick out really good apples for me. So they do a great job. So what I do with my grocery planning on my calendar, on my computer, I have a template for the whole week. And throughout the week, I fill in the template what we're going to have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every week. Every day. At the end of the week, sometime during the weekend, I go onto the online grocery site. I go through my calendar that I've planned. It sounds really extensive, but guys, it's really not. And it saves me. It saves me time and effort. Many times our breakfasts repeat and are the same throughout the week. My kids have hot breakfast 4 days a week, and they get to have cold cereal on Fridays. And many of those things are automatic. So then I plan the dinners, and lunches are usually kind of the same stuff that rotate around. But it helps me to order from that, and then I go and pick it up and bring it home, put it away. It's really easy, and I know what we're having for dinner, and my husband knows. So if something comes up and I'm not going to be home late, then he can help out. And it's what I do, and it's what works. And I started doing this when I was 6 months pregnant with my son, and I was huge. And walking around the grocery store was just the last thing I wanted to do. And I've done it since then, so I enjoyed the grocery pickup. Let's see. And also it's important to, when you're doing things and you're putting things in, when you figure out it doesn't work, stop doing it. All right. When you figure out, okay, this is more of a headache, this doesn't work for me. For some of you, going to the grocery store and grabbing your stuff, it takes you 25 minutes and you're done. And do that. If that's what works for you, then do it. But don't do something that doesn't work. All right. Just because I do it or someone else does it or Joanna Gaines does it. Okay. Be you. Be you. Be you. All right. Let's talk about laundry. So I can hardly say the word, but laundry is my nemesis. I'm really good at a lot of things. I'm a very talented person. God has given me many gifts, spiritual and non-spiritual, and laundry is not my gift, and I don't like laundry. Okay, so there, I said it, and this video can go out around the world and everyone can know. But here are some things that I do to help, because I still do laundry even though I don't like it. I still do it to care for my family, and these are some tips. These are things that I do. I wash small loads. All right, I have a big laundry washing machine, and it can fit, comforters and bedspreads, and it can fit big stuff, but I purposely do small loads more frequently, because if I do, I'm more likely to fold and put away a small load than I am a big load. That's just how it is. It's how I work. It's how I operate. If there's a big, huge load of stuff, you might as well just put it on the couch and leave it there until it's all used. Okay, I don't like, I feel overwhelmed. So I do small loads, and I wash them frequently. It's easier for me. I feel like I can manage it better. It's probably just, in my head, but that's what I do. I hang everything. Okay, I hang everything except for my kids' PJs. Everything gets hung up. All right, my husband's white undershirts, all of my clothes, gowns, stuff like that, everything gets hung up. I invested in a bunch of packs of velvet hangers that you can get from TJ Maxx or Marshalls or Costco or Walmart, Target, anywhere you can get velvet hangers. I love them. Nothing ever falls off. It is the best $10 you can spend is for a 24-pack of velvet hangers. So I bought, I won't tell you how many packages I bought, a lot of packages, because I wanted to feel like I always had enough hangers, okay? So we hang everything. It's easier. If you have the closet space to do it, I highly recommend to do it, okay? My kids, I was going to strangle them. They would go, and maybe you have kids as well, and you know this problem. I would fold everything, they would put it away, then they would go to look for the orange shirt on the bottom of the stack, and everything that was folded and put away is all in a big pile of rubbish because they wanted to find the orange shirt and they wouldn't lift up the other shirt. So it was the last straw, so now we hang everything. It works great for me. I highly recommend it. If you think that it will work for you and you have the closet space. They also sell, you can order them from the Container Store and probably Amazon or wherever else, but they sell extenders, which if you have a high rack, you can put the extender on it and you hook it on, and there's another bar that drops down that gives you a whole nother rack on the bottom. If that sounds like it will work for you, I highly recommend those as well. The other thing I do with laundry, and I'm totally trying to go fast, okay, my kids get to have 15 outfits a piece. So I started this when they were little, 15 outfits each. This does not count pajamas. It does not count sports uniforms or school uniforms. But as far as regular clothes, 15 outfits, that is it. I got piled. My kids are 18 months apart, my older kids, and I was under mountains of laundry, and I'm like, why is there so much laundry? I'm like, because there's so much clothes. Okay, so now everyone gets 15 outfits as they grow out, and they're nice outfits, they're name brand outfits, they're good material, they're good quality. They get 15. When one goes away, they get a new one. When they change sizes, they get new outfits, and the others go in the consignment or Goodwill bin. So that's what I do. It works for me. It saves me on laundry. They don't have 1,000 t-shirts. They have the ones they need. They have nice t-shirts, but they don't have 1,000 of them. And there they go. So I also have a consignment and Goodwill bin ready and waiting for anything that is too small, has a hole, has a rip, has a stain, anything like that. Get rid of it and move on to the next thing. So, okay, those are my few little tips I wanted to share with you. I have a million more, but I will write a book one day and you can purchase it, and I'll make sure you know about that. And anyway, those are my tips for you. Just little things like that can make a huge difference. And there are things that it took me a while to figure out on some of them, but I wanted to share them with you. So now, if you're taking notes, and I hope that you are, I want to give you 5 keys to increasing your productivity. All right, 5 keys to increasing your productivity. So here we go. I want to give you a scripture really quick. Proverbs 18, verse 9, if you're taking notes. Proverbs 18, verse 9, and you got to be ready for this, okay? Here we go. Whoever is slack in his work is a brother to him who destroys. Now you're wishing you didn't pick this session, aren't you? All right. Whoever is slack in his work, okay, so we're going to say her. Whoever is slack in her work is a sister to she who destroys. All right, so the Proverbs wisdom is telling us, all right, slackers are destroyers. Slackers are in the same category as those who destroy, okay? So it is important for us to have things in place to make sure that we are good stewards of our time and our resources and our finances, all right? It's not okay to slack, all right? Everybody has a bad day, a bad week, a bad month, a bad year, but getting on track and staying on track is our responsibility. It's our responsibility. It's not anyone else's. You are responsible for the minutes that you clock in life, how you parent, how you're a wife, how you're a friend, how you're a sister, all right? How you're a Christian. We're responsible for that. So I want to encourage you. Anywhere that you see that you're slacking, be encouraged. Be encouraged to make change, to make positive change, and to be a better version of yourself tomorrow than you are today. All right, here we go. 5 keys to increasing your productivity. Number 1, part with possessions. Part with possessions. Don't click out yet. Don't stop the video yet. Stay with me. Stay with me. Part with possessions. An organized, clutter-free mind and home increases your productivity. All right, I know none of us want to think about that or hear that, and it's easier not to hear that. But please know, I encourage you, if you have not already, you can Google this, you can look up things online. I encourage you to do a minimalist challenge and Google that, find some that look interesting to you to minimize. And many times our home is cluttered and it gives us a cluttered mind, and it's really hard to be productive and to be effective if your home and your mind are cluttered. It just is. It's how our brains work. It's how things are meant to work. That it's scientifically proven that it is hard to be productive when your mind is cluttered, and when your space is cluttered, then your kids don't feel as productive. Your husband doesn't feel like that's his safe place that he can come. Your home is your safe haven from the world. Our families go out the door every day, and we take bullets and we take hits and we get knocked down and we pick ourselves back up. And when we come home, that's our safe place. And it's our responsibility as wives, as moms, and it's your husband's responsibility to help as well. But for us to take good care of our things and to clear space, to clear clutter. It's hard to do sometimes. Many of us have emotional attachments to things. For example, t-shirts. I told you about my kids' t-shirts that we hang up, and then they have ball t-shirts and they have school t-shirts they've outgrown. So I have a big box in my laundry room, a big plastic box, and I keep all of any keepsake t-shirts I want to keep. I put them in there, and plan to make them. I'm not going to physically make it. I'm going to have it made. One of the t-shirt quilts one day. So that's something that I have done because I didn't want to get rid of them, but I wanted to keep them, so I had to find a solution for that. But it's not cluttered. It's in a nice organized box in my laundry room. So find places like that. Find the places in your home that create the most clutter, and go to the one that you hate the most, the one that you don't even want to look at, that room that when you walk in the room, you want to turn around and walk right back out because you just don't want to deal with it. Find those places, start there because you'll feel better. Get the biggest, nastiest one out of the way. And it's easy. It doesn't cost a lot of money. People say, I don't have money to organize and to get bins and all this kind of stuff. You can get things from the Dollar Tree. If you're purposeful about it, you can cover cardboard boxes in wrapping paper, okay, and organize something. If you set your mind to it, I promise that you can do it. It's also important that you identify your peak time. So number 2 is peak performance process. All right, number 2, 5 keys to increasing your productivity. Number 2 is peak performance process. And here's what that means. You need to figure out what is your peak time during the day. Is it when you first wake up in the morning, you just hit the ground running and you have your coffee and you're moving and shaking? For some people, it's about 11 a.m. They finally get awake and then they start to be creative and they start to feel like they can do something during the day. For some people, it's at night. If you're a night person, once 7:30, 8 o'clock hits, you feel that pickup of energy. Figure out when your peak time is and use it. All right, that's when you need to declutter. That's when you need to clean out your refrigerator. That's when you need to do all the things that you hate to do during your peak time. Okay, it's strategy, people. It's strategy. When you have the most energy and you feel your best, knock out the thing that you've been dreading for weeks. Okay, find the thing that you don't want to do. Clean out the garage. Clean out your closet. Go through your kids' toys. Oh, nobody wants to do that. But do it during your peak time because that's what you should do. It's strategy. And it's important. It increases your performance when you do certain things during your peak time. All right? That's just how it is. Don't scroll Facebook during your peak time. Okay? Write that down. All right, number 3, purpose preparation. Number 3 is purposed preparation. All right, and if you're a mom, if you have children, prep is life, okay? We never stop preparing for the next thing. Even if the day's over, we're preparing for the next day. If this week is over, we're preparing for the next week. There's always something to prepare, okay? And many of you just yawned really big when I said that because you're exhausted, you're tired, you feel like you're running in circles and not getting anything done, like there's no traction under your feet. Okay, listen to me. Prepare. And if you feel like you're exhausted, you're probably not spending your time wisely. Nobody wants to hear that. It's not popular. Nobody wants to tweet that. Nobody wants to put that on an Instagram meme. But if you're feeling exhausted, all right, you're probably not spending your time wisely. And that is the truth. The prep work never ends, but if you want to feel successful, you have to prepare. If you know that you have to do something in 2 days, go ahead and get together what you can get together to prepare for it. If you know your kid has a project due, or if you know they have a play at church, what do you need to do to be successful? If you know that you have a big thing coming up at work, or you have a big thing that you volunteered for at church, there are things that you can do ahead of time to make you successful. All right, and we have to identify those things, and then we have to do them. All right, putting them on a list is great, but crossing them off the list is even better. So be productive, be purposeful about preparing. Okay, when I tell people this all the time, and I'll say this story quickly. When we pastored in Atlanta, my big kids were 2 and 1. All right, 18 months apart, 2 and 1. And we were there, it was Set Up and Tear Down in a movie theater, and we were there at 6:30 in the morning. All right, so it was a pretty brutal schedule for a little while, but I was there training people, running teams, and I had a double stroller with both my kids. So on Saturday night, I made their breakfast, I packed all their bags, I ironed everyone's clothes, and I still do this now on Saturday nights because it just makes Sunday morning run easy. But I figured out, okay, Sunday mornings are chaotic. What can I do Saturday night to make it easy? And I did it, and I still do it. And I like the way Sunday mornings go now because I do everything the night before. Do I feel like it? No. I want to sit on my couch and look at your Instagram, okay? That's what I want to do. But I iron everyone's clothes if they need to be ironed, and I pick everything out, and everything goes really smoothly on Sunday mornings because I take time to prepare. I'm not saying yay me, boo you. I'm saying find out what works. Don't complain that things are going crazy when you're the one who's not preparing, okay? I know, it's just, everybody just, I should have told you could fast forward on a replay. That's hard. That's hard to hear. But if we're going to be productive, we have to hear it. All right, number four. I know what I forgot. In preparing, someone needs to hear this. In preparing, make sure that your children, once they're old enough, all right, if they can use an iPhone, they can help. All right, make sure your children are helping prepare. All right, make sure they are picking out their clothes and their shoes. Make sure any little thing they can do to help, that they're taking ownership and responsibility. It's really important. I could talk about that for an entire hour. Maybe one day I will. I'll invite you to my webinar, but make sure your kids are helping. It's easier to do it yourself, all right, but you have to train them. And we're trying to raise good, responsible citizens, all right? So take time and train them. You'll be glad you did in the end. Number four, peaceful people. Praise God. Peaceful people. The fourth key to increasing your productivity is peaceful people. Many times our mind is cluttered. We feel a wreck. We're anxious. We're depressed. We're going in a million different directions, okay? And we're surrounding ourselves with people who always have drama, who always have something going on. It's always, oh my gosh, did you hear what so-and-so did? Oh my gosh, everything just, it's like, when they start talking to you in that tone of voice, like when it starts out and I'm like, hey, how are you doing? When it starts out, oh my gosh, did you hear so-and-so? Did you know what he did? You have to limit. I'm not saying don't love them. I'm not saying don't allow them around, but you can't be influenced by people who are constantly full of drama. It affects you. It affects your soul. It affects the way your mind works. Okay, you have to surround yourself with people who are peaceful, people whose homes you go into and you feel calm, people who you can go out to eat with and you feel like you can have a conversation and a meal and your food digests properly and your stomach's not in knots listening to them talk about their drama or talk about your drama or give you advice about your drama. Surround yourself with peaceful people. It will make a huge difference to how you prioritize, because your mind needs to be clear in order for you to be successful at life and to be able to do all the things that you need to do. And I mean all the things you need to do. Okay, in order for you to get your life and get it together, all right, you have to be picky about who you allow to speak into your life and who you surround yourself with. It's how it goes. Those things affect you. The things that you put in affect you. The things you listen to, the people you surround yourself with. Be in the world and not of the world. Make sure you're picky about what you allow on the television in your home, what you allow on the radio in your home. All those things affect your productivity because they affect your mind. All right, and for us to be productive, we have to be in our right mind. We have to be able to think ahead and prepare and be a good parent and be a good wife, be a good employee, be a good Christian. All right, and it's important for us to surround ourselves with peaceful people. That was number 4. We're moving on to number 5. Number 5 is proper priorities. Number 5 is proper priorities. You all just can convict yourself on this one. Sometimes we get our priorities wrong. All right, sometimes we get off on a slippery slope and all of a sudden we're doing things and we're like, is this even important to me? What am I spending is this my best use of my time and my money and my resources? And how did I get here? And sometimes you just got to put on the brakes and you got to turn around and evaluate your priorities and see what's important to you. And make sure your schedule and your bank account line up with the things that are important to you, not the things that are important to your sister-in-law, not the things that are important to your pastor's wife, not the things that are important to anyone else, but the things that are important to you. Prioritize, all right? Prioritize. If your marriage is important, you need to prioritize your husband. It's easy to say it. Not as easy to do it. But if that's important to you, if you want to have a long, strong marriage, you're going to have to do some things, all right? You're going to have to make some things a priority. If your husband likes to have his feet rubbed, rub the man's feet. Doesn't matter if he deserves it. Doesn't matter if he helped you with the dishes, all right? Rub the man's feet and respect him as a leader of your home, all right? And watch your marriage turn around. Make that your priority. If it's important to you, make that your priority. This is going to convict somebody, so I'm just going to go ahead and warn you. Just hold on to something. Hold your chair, hold your table, hold your notes, hold your iPad, whatever, okay? We need to rate our responses, All right, it's our responsibility for us to rate our responses. Sometimes we feel more responsible to reply to something that someone tagged us in on social media than we do to reply and respond to our spouse or to our children. I'll say it again. Sometimes we feel more responsible, all right, like we have to respond to something, to somebody said something, somebody sent me an Instagram message, somebody sent me a Facebook message, oh, they tagged me in this thing, let me like it and comment it, okay? What if we were that diligent about responding to our spouse when they need something, all right? When you are going to bed at night, okay? What if we responded to our spouse as quickly as we did to people on social media? You know, some people are just so busy building followers that they forgot they're supposed to be busy building leaders, okay? So you have children in your home that you're supposed to be modeling marriage to and building them as leaders, and everyone's busy trying to get followers. So it is important for you to have proper priorities, for you to understand the ways that you spend your minutes all add up in the end, and that sum total, that's yours. You own that. That's in your account. All right, so it is important for us to rate our responses, to make sure our priorities are proper, make sure that they are in order and they line up with the values and the things that we want out of life. All right, kids don't go crazy in a day. Marriages don't crumble in a day. Worlds don't fall apart in a day. There are tragic things that happen that can change your life in a day, but many things that we stop prioritizing, then we start to see the effects of it months later, years later, and we wonder, where did I go wrong? What did I do? What did I not do? Well, if we prioritize and we put our priorities in the right space, then many of those conversations we won't have to have. So I encourage you to be a good steward of what God has given to you. All right, to be a good steward of the things that He's given to you. He's given you, if nothing else, He's given you breath in your lungs. He's given you ears to hear what I'm saying to you right now, and that's a gift. There's many people who passed away today. There's many people with no breath left in their lungs. Many people who couldn't hear what I'm saying right now, even if they wanted to, because they're deaf. All right, so you have been given the gift of life, and what you do with it is your responsibility. Amen, amen, amen. I want to remind you why anytime that I speak, anytime that I give encouragement, anytime that I give solutions, I always want to remind people why we do that. And I'm going to remind you really quick, but I want to tell you that if you have questions, if you want to put them in the chat, if you have anything that you'd like for me to answer on this subject, on a different subject, what's my favorite ice cream, anything like that, you can put it in the chat and I'll go back through that in just a minute at the end. But I want to remind you that the reason that we want to be the best versions of ourselves, okay, the reason we want to prioritize and be great moms and great grandmas and great wives and sisters and friends, the reason we want to do that is because when our mind is clear and we're productive, then we have think space. All right, we have space in between tasks, in between caring for children, in between work, in between the things that we do. We have clear think space so that if God wants to speak to us, if He wants to drop something in your spirit for you to do or say, somewhere for you to go, some way for you to respond to someone, He has space to do that. When we are productive and we're the best versions of ourselves, God can use us the best. And I give this analogy many times when I speak, and if you heard me speak before, you may have heard it, but if you imagine a mom at the beach, and she's there with her children and her young son, she turns around and he's not there. And her other kids are there, he's not there. He's not there. If you've ever lost a kid in the mall, at the beach, at the state fair, anywhere like that, if you've ever had that moment as a mom where you turn around and there's a little brown-headed kid, but that's not your brown-headed kid, and you realize your kid is not where you think they are, it is terrifying. It's the most horrible experience. It's horrible, horrible, horrible. Okay, but imagine this mom, and they're at the ocean and she cannot find her son. And so they call the teams in, they call the search teams, everyone's looking for him, they're calling his name. And they bring in the search team, and here they come. One of them is blind. One of them is in a wheelchair with a broken leg, and they're cast all the way up to their hip. All right, one of them is deaf. They all have an inadequacy, something that's going to keep them from finding her kid. All right. And this is the team. This is the team that she's supposed to trust to find her son who's lost at the ocean. And that analogy, if you can just see it in your head, if you think about how God sees his children, he has many children who are lost. They're lost. They can't find their way. They're lost and they're dying and going to hell. And he's counting on us, his team, to find them and to bring them back to him, and to bring them so they can be saved, to be Jesus to them. And if we are blinded and we have broken legs and we have broken arms, and it hinders us from him using us to find his kids. And that is the reason we get better. That's the reason that we wake up and we pray every day to be the best version of ourselves. That's the reason we go through personal development and we take notes on webinars and we go to virtual conferences like this, not so that we can say, hey, look at me, I did this 5-step thing, and now I did a minimalist challenge, and now I organized something at my house. It's to have a clear mind so that you can be the best version of you, so he can use you to reach his kids. Now, I'm going to give you my website again really quick if you've joined later. So it's Proverbs31QT.com. Our breakout room is going to close in just a few moments, but I do want to answer your questions. So if you will inbox me, I will be happy to answer your questions. Either way, inbox me and let me know if you're on and you're watching now. Just if you're watching the replay, inbox me and give me some prayer requests. I'm going to be spending some time in prayer for those of you who are part of the collective conference. I would love for you to send me a message. There's a link where you can inbox me straight from my website. It's Proverbs31QT.com. If you have questions, I'm definitely going to answer them. I will respond to you and send you a video with the answers, and I look forward to doing that. But thank you so much for being with us and for joining us here on the collective conference.